Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Hope your week has been pretty good. So, yesterday, as you know, I went to London for a business event and it was a good day. Really enjoyed it. It was, as you might have imagined, rather a long day. I think it was about an 18-hour day, all in all. But yeah, back in Plymouth now, back in the office, ready to kick some ass and put into practice some of the stuff that I learnt yesterday. So I'm just going through my notes here in the office now. I thought I'd just share some of what I picked up. So, yeah, the guy from the Bank of England, now this was, I personally found it quite an interesting talk. I know several in the audience didn't, because, I mean, thankfully they put it on in the morning. If it had been the afternoon, there would have been a lot of people snoozing. He's an economist. From the Bank of England, and yeah, the first 10 minutes of the presentation was very much, what does the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of England do other than set interest rates? And I think what I kind of took from that was they don't really know what's going to happen, and what they tend to do is they're reactive to a lot of things. So they look at trends, they look at a lot of stats, a lot of graphs and information, and then they react accordingly to that based on what they think is going to happen with the economy. He was able to give a few predictions, but caveat on that is that the prediction he gave last year, literally about 12 months ago, was there's only one way interest rates are going, and that's up. And subsequently they went down in the summer, so they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. So little caveat there. Here's what they say is happening at the moment. There is no evidence that there's a recession on the way or correction on the way. People are being a little bit risk averse, but and as an example, the construction sector, they said that normally when there's like a recession coming or when there's real uncertainty, which obviously lots of people have said there has been uncertainty around Brexit and Trump, etc. That hasn't been the case, and they're saying that the construction sector in particular isn't jittery at all. He showed some trends for property, which I've seen some different data, so I don't necessarily agree with this. He's saying that London is slowing. Transactions are down about 6%. Now, he's put that down to normal slowing and completely ignored the government's policy on stamp duty land tax for second homeowners, i.e. property investors. So I think he's perhaps looked at property as homeowners rather than as property investors. Interesting, we talked about the weak pound against the dollar, against the euro. He feels that should increase exports, which obviously will help the economy. Again, a very interesting talk about jobs and employment. And they're saying that the employment's about 5% now. Unemployment is 5%. That would be worrying if employment was 5%. So unemployment is 5% at the moment. They're saying that all the signs, all the graphs, all the data tells them that the economy is doing really well because inflation's less than 2% and unemployment's less than 5%. But in my mind, the figures are being fudged, and that's where the problem lies. He said, we're seeing low unemployment, but we're not seeing wage pressure. We're not seeing any growth in pay. And he actually said, I don't know why that is. Now, I would counter that that's probably because the unemployment figures are fudged. And whilst official unemployment is less than 5%, it's probably less than 5% because people are now on fixed hour contracts, they're on 10-hour contracts and no longer classed as unemployed, but actually they're only working 10 hours a week on minimum wage. They're not really contributing that much to the economy. Inflation is coming, he says. He also says it's less than 2%, which I completely disagree with. I think it's closer to 5 or 6% now. But he thinks that, inflation is coming, growth is going to slow. We did have some uncertainty around Brexit. Literally, if you look at the graph that he had there was a massive drop, and then it literally corrected, and it was literally a blip in the ocean, people overreacting to Brexit. Interestingly, he talked to some car dealers, and they were saying that although you may have seen sort of 20% drop in the exchange rate. The prices from their suppliers have literally gone up 1%, 2%. So it's not much is coming through the supply chain. It's starting to come through now. So you may see prices rise over the next 3 to 6 months as these things do work their way through the supply chain. Anyway, I'm not going to go on too much about Bank of England stuff, because although I do find that quite interesting, I know a lot of people in the audience yesterday didn't. You guys probably won't either. So the other thing which really was good was talking about old-fashioned marketing. And it's very easy to fall for the latest technology and think, well, actually, I need to do Facebook Live videos, for example. But Facebook Live is just the media that I'm using. I'm actually using an old-fashioned marketing technique here, and that is just talking to people. So the guy talking yesterday was the first time I've seen him talk, and he's a phenomenal guy. He's early 30s, and he's 100 miles an hour. But he's done so much with his life. He really has. He's massively into commercial property. He's got several multi-million-pound businesses. And he's just one of the most astute minds I've ever actually seen live on stage. Anyway, he was talking about investing heavily, not monetary value, but investing his time and his energy very heavily into old-fashioned marketing. He said, the last business he launched didn't even have a website for 6 months. So literally they launched a business, they took it up to something like 50 grand a month in revenue, didn't even have a website. But he invests heavily in his network. So what he talks about there is actually helping people out, sharing information. He's gone into businesses that are struggling, and literally even in the same sector that he works in, and says, well, why are you struggling? And it's a typical thing. You speak to a business owner that's struggling and say, how's it going? And you get the answer, yeah, fine, yeah, oh no, it's going well, busy. And then, but if you look at their management accounts, they're not doing very well at all. And what he does is he will literally send out his management accounts to these guys and say, well, look, here's what I'm doing. I'll be completely open, completely honest with you. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm making the money. You could do this too. And it's really refreshing. He's really open like that. And that doesn't do much for his business in the short term. But what it does do is it pays dividends in the long term. And the line he used was, it pays millions in the long term. It pays bugger all in the short term, but it pays millions in the long term. And he gave several examples of ways that he's done that. So he's acquired several £1 million plus businesses just as a result of the network. So he was the preferred bidder for one business that he bought out of administration. Literally, he went into the company, he started helping out the guys. About 6 months before they went into administration, they eventually decided, no, we just want out of this business. So he got to know the business inside out. They went into administration. He then was the preferred bidder, pre-packed administration. He bought that company out of administration. Having already started the turnaround, completed the turnaround, that business is now worth over £1 million. The owners originally got some money out of it because he paid them over sort of 3 years, which then came out of the future profits, so it was zero risk to him. There was another example. He went to the council. He'd already owned a couple of day nurseries, and he wanted to open a farm attraction, so like a kid's day out on a farm. And he went to the council and said, look, have you got any land that I can buy, because I want to open this farm attraction? And they said, well, no, we haven't at the moment, but we've got this farm attraction here, which we're looking for a manager. And initially he said, no, I'm not interested in, I'm not looking for a job, thank you very much. I'm a businessman, I'm looking to actually buy a business. But he got chatting to this guy at the council, literally, just building his network, speaking to these people, and said, yeah, go on then. Yeah, I'll take the job. So the council paid him, I think it was 60 grand a year to run this business. And then I think he said 9 months later, the tender was up on this business. So the council said, actually, yeah, we are going to sell the business now. We're going to put it out to tender. There were, I think, 7 or 8 different bidders. And what stood him out as the preferred bidder, or not as the preferred bidder, but as the best choice to take on that business and win the tender, Well, I've been running the business for the last 9 months. I know all the systems and processes. I know the staff. I know how to market this business. I know how to get it busy. I know how to make money out of it. I know everything. I'm in that business day to day. So he was actually paid £60,000 to learn how to run this particular business that he then bought. And it just all comes from helping other people out, sharing information, talking to people. When the opportunity, this is a fantastic, if anything, this is my one takeaway from the day yesterday. When the opportunity of a lifetime lands on your lap, who do you pick up the phone to? And secondly, why do they answer? Why do they take your call? If you've got, literally the opportunity of a lifetime to build the business you've always wanted or to achieve your dreams, but you need to find £1 million worth of funding, who do you pick up the phone to? Who do you call? And why the hell do they take the call? Do they say, who the hell's that? Or do they say, oh yeah, oh it's John, oh yeah, hi John. We've been speaking over the last 3 years, we've met for coffee 5 times, you've helped me out with it, X, Y, Z. What can I do for you? Oh well actually I've got this great opportunity, let me tell you about it. I think we could do a brilliant joint venture here. I need some cash from you, I've got the expertise, blah, 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 let's do a deal. And I think, yeah, that is my one takeaway from yesterday. Other than that, old school marketing. Forget your fancy Ryan Deiss 300-step funnel remarketing, native advertising, content marketing, cookie dropping, opt-in buzzword bullshit. Just pick up the phone, book a meeting. Michael, you don't know anyone person that has that much money. You don't yet, mate. Come on, get out there, get talking to people. That's how you find the people that have got the money. Either that or create the business yourself and then you'll have the money. Pick up the phone, book a meeting, take someone for coffee, invite them out for lunch. Just speak to people, hand out flyers, make sure people know what you do, what you're about. The guy yesterday, he built a £1 million business just by speaking to people and giving out flyers. This was, he didn't have the website. He didn't have any money for it. He'd spent all the money on setting up the business. He spent £500,000 setting up the business. All he had was 100,000 flyers. That was all he could afford, right? We've got 100,000 flyers printed. I'm going to identify who my target market is, and I'm going to go and talk to them, tell them how brilliant this new business is, why they should come along, stick a flyer in their hand. And that is just the old school stuff that really pays dividends. Marketing, I always say, marketing is really, really simple. We sometimes make it more complicated by putting these little techniques in, and you need to do native advertising, you need to do remarketing, or it's all about Facebook ads, it's all about AdWords. Marketing is really simple. You just build a list, you make friends with that list, and then you ask that list to do something. Now, that could be give us a phone call, come to an event, book a meeting, buy a product. But just create a list, make friends with the list, speak to the list regularly, and ask them to do something. And then just maintain that relationship. It's really is as simple as that. It's you don't need any of the fancy stuff, any of the overblown marketing funnels. Just get a list, talk to people, ask them to do something. That's what we're doing here. I'm building a list, I'm talking to you now. One day I may ask you to do something. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Invite your friends into the group, share this post. No, you can't share the post, it's a private group. But invite your friends in, like this post. Let me know that you're watching, let me know that you like what we're doing. And have a great weekend. Enjoy the inauguration this afternoon. I won't be watching because I'm going to be kicking ass in my business and then spending time with my family. So control the controllables. Might do a post about that later. Happy Friday, guys. See you later. Cheers. Bye-bye.